Hey everybody, this is Josh Ronquist here for the Heavy Debriefings podcast, episode 16, also known as the most evil Halloween 12, colon, 5 nights at band camp.
Yes.
I, of course, again, am Josh Ronquist, along with the lovely woman listening to everything from Boys to Men to Karak Engren. It is the Metal Faerie.
Yes, that is me. That's me in a nutshell right there.
How are you doing? You just came home like an hour ago, so how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired, but you know, I'm hanging in here. It's 2 days to Halloween, so it's my time of the year. Oh, a week and change. No, exactly a week till my birthday, and yeah, and you are fresh out of band camp.
Yes, I am, and I am so happy that next week we can celebrate your birthday, celebrating the age of number redacted.
Yes. Smart.
Yes, but I don't know what happened. I
Yeah.
just woke up and
Yeah.
I saw I could no longer message you on Messenger. I could
Yes.
not like or post or do anything on Facebook.
Yeah.
It said that I did some stuff that I would never ever do.
Yeah.
And they never showed the evidence of what it was.
Yeah.
So I don't
hopefully
know
it was
what
just
happened.
a mistake or something, but
Yeah, I tried reaching out to them, and they said they were going to look at it, but I even looked at it last night, and they said it was still under review, so you know they
course.
weren't going to look at it at all.
Exactly. So we will be starting out this week with some sad news because that's what we do when we report our celebrity deaths, and there's been a few this week. So up first was Steve Riley, the drummer of LA Guns and Wasp. Yeah, this one hit hard because I love both bands, and Steve Riley's amazing, and that was a sad one.
Yeah, probably my favorite album of the whole, like, glam era
Yeah,
is the first Wasp album.
I understand.
And his drumming on there, from the fills that he did, the double bass, everything that went along with it, like, he was just such a perfect mix
Yeah,
on those first 4 Wasp albums.
yeah.
And then not even realizing, either because I forgot or I'm just that stupid, that he was an integral part to LA Guns as well.
He was.
And, you know, just being able to go from, you know, like the darker side of Wasp to the lighter side with LA Guns. And,
I don't know if I'd say light. I mean,
well, it's lighter than Wasp.
I feel like for both of them, it depends on what you listen to. They both have kind of both sides represented, I feel
Okay,
like.
well, aesthetically, I
Yes.
was going for.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't wearing all black and stuff like that in
For the
LA
most
Guns.
part, yeah.
Well, that was the point I was getting at. But, you know, just like being able to see, like, everything that he was capable of as a drummer. And, you know, outside of Tommy Lee, you never really hear about the drummers in glam bands.
Not often.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you'll recognize...
Leppard.
Well, Def Leppard.
Yeah, but-
Ricky Rocket.
Yeah.
But that's really it. You never really
Yeah.
hear about those behind the drums. And Steve Riley was, like, one of the most underrated drummers, really,
for sure.
of that time.
For sure.
Like, I guess for you, like, who did you like more back in the day? Was it Wasp or was it LA Guns?
Back in the day or now?
Well, I said back in the day, but
okay.
how about now as well?
I mean, growing up, like when I was younger, probably LA Guns. I didn't get as exposed to Wasp until a little bit later. I mean, I knew who they were and stuff, but I love both now. Like, honestly, like, out of everything I grew up listening to in the 80s, which was everything 80s glam, like, I would say those 2 bands and Dawkins and maybe a couple others are the ones that have, like, stood the test of time for me. And, like, they're still some of my favorite bands, so, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
It does. So, also, we lost Richard Mole, who I think most people knew him from Night Court. I know he did a bunch of other stuff, though, too, but I know I never watched Night Court as a kid, but I remember, like, I must have watched something, like, right before it or right after it, because I remember the theme song, I remember him, and he just had such a noticeable, like, a distinct look to him that you knew who he was. Like, there was no, you know, mistaking him for someone else.
I am not doing my due diligence here because I know him from Night Court, and he's been in other movies. I think some
Yeah.
horror movies as well, too. And I am
Probably.
just completely blanking
I
out
know.
on what they are.
I am too.
And from what I've seen, there's only 2 people left from the main cast of Night Court still
Oh, wow.
alive. John
Yeah.
Larroquette and one other.
I can't remember who all was in that show,
Yeah, but everyone else is gone.
but super sad. And then finally, we also lost Matthew Perry, who passed away just yesterday of an apparent drowning, but we don't really know all the details with it yet. And of course, most people know him from Friends, but he did a ton of stuff as well. And again, Friends is not something I ever got into, but he was definitely a talented actor, and it's super sad.
Well, Well, I know him more for like the spiral that he went down, and the redemption arc that he was trying to make as well. Because you know, it's when you're on a hit show like that, after it's over, you don't really know what to do with yourself. And for a lot of people, they can't handle that. And I know for a long time he's been battling addiction in many ways, shapes and forms. He lost a lot of people in his life because of it, and he's been spending the last several years just trying to get his stuff together and try to be better for people, help people. And
I know he had some medical issues a few years back as well. Like, I don't know if it was as a result of some of the substance abuse issues or just kind of things that came up, but I know he dealt with a lot of medical issues as well.
Yeah, and something like that could have been the cause.
It could have.
I mean, that's like the best case scenario. I mean, I don't want to think deeper of what it could have been, but drowning in your hot tub is not a way anyone should have to go.
Absolutely not.
And only at 54 as well,
way
which is
too young.
Way too young.
Okay, so shifting off of the negative and into something positive.
Well, let's go into the medium news for us first. You know, it's not bad, it's not good.
Okay,
it's just there.
Okay, so we'll go that one first, and then I'm gonna lead us into the next one after that. But to the dismay of some of us and to the glee of others, Ric Flair has returned to wrestling again in AEW.
Yes, I think he has now been a part of every single promotion at this point. Like every major promotion, he's done at least a cameo.
Exactly.
And the whole thing was Tony Khan had a special gift for Sting, who's going to be retiring coming up in March.
Yes.
He announced he's going to have his last match at Revolution 2024, which is where he had his first match in AEW back in 2021. So... You know, not too long of a stint, you know, 3 years, but at least he gets to go out on his own terms.
Exactly.
And Sting has always been one of my favorites.
Mine too.
This is going to be an interesting story going forward. But the gift was, and you start to hear the music from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yes, Ric Flair. And of course, he didn't have that music in WWE. That was totally a WCW music that was going on there.
Yep.
The WWF version was a knockoff because apparently that was copywritten, even though it's classical music. But besides the point, Ric Flair says that he's going to be tagging along with Sting and Darby Allin until March 2024, which leads me to believe somewhere in that story, we're going to get Ric Flair versus Sting as both of their final matches ever. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I sure hope not. I mean, just him walking down to the ring, it's like, oh, he should not be even doing that. Like, you know, he's, you know, good on him for like still, you know, pushing himself and stuff like that. But oof, like, I feel like there could be somebody better that Sting could fight for his final match.
It looked like the Undertaker's WrestleMania entrances are sped up compared to what it's like for Ric Flair coming down to the ring. That says something. But no, I just think of how many people would tune in for that last match.
Oh, that is true.
And that's why I think it's going to happen. To me, the final match should be Sting versus Darby Allin.
Yeah, I mean, they've been together since he came back to wrestling with AEW, so that would make sense. But Darby is injured now, of course, too. And
although I just saw a video on him on YouTube on a big wheel doing a gigantic flip on a jump for Nitro Circus, the Travis Pastrana stuff, and he landed it successfully.
Well, I mean, that's good, but he just does not care.
No, just like Joey Janela, you know, it's like nothing will stop them until they're no longer
Will
able to
Ospreay
move.
As well. I mean,
he changed his wrestling style.
A little bit, but like for a long time in the ring, anyways, he was very much of that same attitude.
So, with all that said, getting back into the Ric Flair stuff.
Yes.
Before we found out about the helicoptering, did you ever enjoy Ric Flair?
I mean, he was never one of my favorites. I mean, he was there, like I knew he was a big name and stuff like that, but it was never somebody that I was like super excited to ever see.
See, and it makes it rough for me because one of my favorite matches of all time is Royal Rumble 1992.
Yeah.
Where Ric Flair wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
And of course, the biggest reason you enjoy the Royal Rumble 92 is because of Bobby the Brain Heenan, who does the best commentary I've ever heard anyone ever do.
He was great.
And, you know, just seeing Ric Flair win that. And of course, all of that is a bit collar tugging now because of all the stuff that happened with helicoptering.
All the accusations against Ric Flair. If you don't know, Google it.
Yeah. I'm repeating that, so it's like, huh, what's he talking about? You know, kind of saying it without saying it.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not in favor of Ric Flair being in AEW, and I really wish this wasn't happening. And it's all the more reason why I think we are going to get rid of the cable at some point.
Very, very likely. Well, finally.
Well, we went from negative and then news, and now some positive.
Well, depends on who you are, I guess. But to the joy of frog nerds around the world, they are rejoicing right now as their Lord and Savior, Mike Portnoy, has returned to Dream Theater.
In a move I never saw coming. I honestly did not see this coming. Like, I know that Mike has been working with John Petrucci on his solo work. They were together with Jordan Rudess on Liquid Tension Experiment 3. Yeah, I know they were all becoming good friends again. I thought there was a long-standing holdout in James LeBrie who did not want Mike Portnoy back.
Yeah.
But it turns out the hatchet has been buried between everybody. And Mike Mangini, after 13 years, is out of Dream Theater.
I know.
Who has a new solo album coming out on November 11th.
Well, that's good. He has got something rolling already.
Yeah. We talked about that in the interview that I did with Mike Mangini, and the last time I'll get talked to Mike Mangini while he's in Dream Theater.
Yeah.
I have a really good feeling that he knew he was on the way out before the last tour.
Well, I'm sure he, like, even going into the band, he knew that it might not be a permanent thing, because...
Well, he said so as much.
Yeah.
Like, he basically said that he was just keeping the seat warm in case Portnoy ever came back.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any ill will.
Oh, yeah. No.
But, yeah. I'm super, super curious on what's going to be happening. They have a new album coming out next year. I don't know if they've been writing together yet. I don't know if Mike's just going to add stuff that's already been there.
Yeah.
Or if they're completely just going to go in the studio and work everything together.
Yeah.
As for someone who doesn't really care who's behind the drums in Dream Theater, what do you think of all this?
I mean, of course, my favorite Dream Theater album is The Astonishing, which is post-Mike Portnoy, so...
Poser!
But I don't really care who's on the drums. I mean, yeah.
And all of the prog fans are shutting off the podcast right now.
Hitting the thumbs down. No, I don't mind Dream Theater. I like a couple of their...
I don't mind.
I love The Astonishing. I like Images and Words. Outside of that, I never really dived that deeply into them, outside of you playing it for me, but...
Well, how about the fact that we live, like, a mile away from where we saw them together?
Yeah.
Come on, doesn't that hold any, like, special moments or anything?
Oh, sure. They were great in concert both times that I saw them, and yeah, they put on a great show. But I just... There's things about their music I love, and then there's things that just go on a little too long for me, and a little, prog, what's the word I'm looking... A little too on the prog side sometimes for me.
Hold that thought, because next week we're going to be doing a What's Your Problem with Dream Theater.
Oh, dear.
For your special birthday episode.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun episode. He's planning all kinds of terrible things, let me tell you. Stay tuned.
Yes, I have a secret diabolical plan for the main focal points of the podcast, which I already let you know what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not letting you know the details of it quite yet, and I cannot wait to unleash that next week.
Yeah.
But again, for me, Mike Portnoy is my favorite drummer of all time.
Yeah.
I've gotten to talk to him twice, never in Dream Theater. I am very excited to see what they do next. And, Mike Mangini can join any band that he wants to. He's got all the chops and everything. So if he decides to do that, or if he decides to go back to teaching drums at Berkeley, he's got options. He's going to be fine.
He has a career in front of him wherever he goes.
Yes. And I think that concludes our newscast.
It does.
So with all that said, it is time for my favorite segment of the show each and every week. This musical roulette where I pick out 3 random songs for the Metal Faerie to be able to check out. This is the last one of the current age that you're at, as next week we'll be recording for your current age +1.
Yes.
So let's try to have some fun with this one. Are you going to be mad, or are you going to be glad? We'll find out with these 3 random songs. Alright, so I decided to do a little softball to you right here, just to do something that you were familiar with.
Yeah.
As it happens to be off of your favorite album from In Flames.
Possibly.
Come Clarity.
Possibly.
Well, I know it's got your favorite song on it anyways.
Maybe.
It is the song Take This Life, the first track off of Come Clarity by In Flames.
Yes.
To me, a very watershed album, as this is the last In Flames album I like all the way through, and everything after that just does not mesh well for me.
Yeah.
How does this one work out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my favorite In Flames is Reroute through Come Clarity. Those like 3 albums there, they're my favorite. Everything before I like, but it's as I get older, I feel like it's more mood music for me. I gotta be in the right kind of more aggressive mood.
Which is strange because it's more folky and stuff.
Yeah, but it's also harder and less melodic. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, kind of like you after this one, I just never kept up with them because it just never caught my ear like these ones did. So, but I love this album. I love the couple albums before this one. They're amazing work.
I never hear you talk about Soundtrack to Your Escape.
That would be the last out of the 3, but it's still kind of in that wave, you know?
That was also my first In Flames album, was Soundtrack to Your
Was it?
Escape.
Okay.
And then I got Reroute, then I got Come Clarity.
Yeah.
Then I checked out the back catalog after that.
Yeah.
That's how it worked for me. But yeah, I've always loved this song, and I have a deep infatuation with this album. I feel it's like it's the perfect mix of the heavy stuff and the melodic stuff
Absolutely.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And then after that, you know, just trying to be as commercial as possible and forgetting where you came from. And,
And
we're
inviting
not
the
going to be
children.
playing those old songs.
Yes, and inviting the children choirs.
Yes. The 30 Seconds to Mars approach. All right, next up is a song I was gonna skip, but you said, oh, here we go, we're doing this.
Well,
So-
we've skipped it a few times now, and I figure at a certain point we just got to do it. So
Yes.
let's go down the well.
Off of one of the most heartbreaking albums made, all about the different forms of love loss. It is Woods 4, the Green Album by Woods of Ypres,
Yes.
and the first track, Shards of Love.
Yes.
So, with that cheery number that made us both weep as we were listening to it, what do you think of Woods of Ypres?
So, yeah, they're a band I had heard of before you, but I never listened to them. But they're obviously one of your favorite bands, and so I've heard them a lot throughout the days. And for a long period, I just kind of avoided it. It was very sad, and I just didn't want to deal with that. But just seeing like you and your struggles and stuff like that and how impactful the music is for you, that made me take it a little bit more seriously. And then it made me also a lot sadder. Like, I mean, if you want to get a good cry out, just listen to any of their music. Like, that is just, that's what it is intended for.
Yeah, Woods 4 is all about breakups and love
Yeah.
loss. Woods 5 is all about death.
Yeah,
So
but I would
no
say,
matter your sadness, there is something for Woods of
Yeah.
Ypres for you.
but even though they have their own kind of like, you know, topics they're about, I feel like you can relate it to so many different things. Like this song is obviously about a breakup, but like you can relate it to so many forms of loss and stuff like that. And the thing that I really like about Woods is like their lyrics are very simple when you really think about it. It's not like they're like, you know, digging out the like, I don't know, like,
They're not taking out the thesaurus to find
no,
synonyms
no,
for different
they're
words.
not trying to make things like sound fancy. Like it is just simple, but like
Yeah, it just
there's
gut punches
something-
you in the
there's
simplest
some-
way.
But there's something so like just honest and like painful about it, you know? And they're great. They're great. It's not a band I ever sit down just to listen to, but
Because you'd just be crying the whole time.
well, right. But they're an amazing band.
Yeah, I love them so much, and Woods 5 is,
Yeah.
as we talked about in my top 10 albums of all time list, they were pretty darn high at number 2. And it's a band that I have a really hard time listening to for the same reasons, because it just
Yeah.
puts me so sad. And
Yeah, unless you're
especially-
already dealing with something and
Yeah.
then you need something that's similar.
Yeah, just something that
It's-
matches how I'm feeling on the inside. And
Yeah.
with so many of the things that are talked about here, it is so
Yeah.
relatable. And yeah, you make a very good point about this song as well. Like, it is about a breakup, but it could be like a family member. It could be
Yeah.
a friend. It could be...
Yeah, there's so many
You can
things.
relate it to so many different things.
Absolutely.
And when it is so simple, you can make your own interpretations of it. And I
Exactly.
appreciate that as well. And, you know, that's just the power and glory that we had with David Gold,
Yes.
who you never would have thought would have any connection to Kitty, but there it is. But yeah, if you've never checked out Woods of Ypres and you're not big on the black metal side of things, I highly recommend checking out Woods 4 and 5, as it's more of the
Yes.
gothic metal, doom metal,
Yeah.
with a little bit of black metal thrown in there, but it's almost
bit.
predominantly clean vocals. visuals for the most part, especially compared to the first 3 albums.
Minus the lyrics, it's very people friendly.
Well, I've heard a lot of people refer to them as the Canadian typo negative.
I could see that.
Yeah, just darker in different senses, where
Yeah.
typo is a little more tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Woods is a bit more of a gut punch.
Yeah.
All right, so for this third choice, we first started off with something that you enjoy with In Flames.
Yes.
Then we picked something that makes you cry, even though you enjoy it. It
Yes.
makes you cry with Wits of
Yes.
Ypres. Now for a band I've never really gotten your impression of.
Yeah.
Band Deftones.
Yeah.
Off of probably their biggest album. I think it's their biggest one because of other songs that are off of this album. White Pony. Another name for cocaine.
Ooh.
It is Deftones with one of the only songs that I come close to enjoying from the band, Digital Bath.
Okay.
What is your thoughts?
He sounds like he's trying to sound like that wounded guy that girls will look at and be like, I can fix him. Again, I had said this about a band, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, like there are some voices that it sounds like they just don't care what they sound like.
Yeah, that was last week.
And he is one of them. It's just like every once in a while he musters up just a little bit of energy to push it a little bit further to show that anguish that the poor thing is facing. And you know, every other time he can barely get the breath out to whisper a lyric, and the music matches it perfectly.
Yeah, that's that late 90s, early 2000s real term screamo style where, you're screaming, but it's that emotional sadness that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much hit the nail on the head. And
I thought so.
There's other songs that show that off, even better than this one. But now I'm starting to see how you feel about Deftones now.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got you all fired up for our next segment, which will definitely be in the mood for everything. But sorry, this goth ballad for the bedroom, as I've seen a lot of people talk about online polls for playlist. Yes, I'm serious. This is a top song for the bedroom for goth girls.
Oh dear.
That concludes our musical roulette for this week.
Okay, so up next we have our first of 2 Halloween sections for the week and our final Halloween sections because Halloween is on Tuesday. Oh, I went too fast.
What are we gonna do until next year?
Well, we got some other topics we can cover. We can do some Christmas stuff, maybe some Thanksgiving even. Who knows? Some Thanksgiving movies or something. But we'll figure it out.
Including the new horror movie Thanksgiving
Exactly.
that's coming out on Thanksgiving.
Exactly. So we'll figure out some fun stuff. But for this first list, we are going to be doing 2023 songs that are perfect for Halloween. So we don't have any official top 10 in order kind of thing, but we each have roughly around 10 songs that we're gonna chat about and give our thoughts on.
Yeah. Anyone who's followed my career longer than this new iteration of the podcast knows that every single year I like to put together my favorite dark, scary, horror, Halloween type songs.
Yeah.
It's a way to represent a lot of metal that comes out throughout the year and stuff that I think would be really good for all of your naughty Halloween parties, or to scare off the little kids at trick-or-treating. You can just put the Spotify playlist together and scare a lot of people.
Yes.
And yeah, we got to 21 songs altogether for this one. I got 11, you got 10. And we're gonna do a little breaks in here so you can actually hear what the songs are that I picked.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure if you're familiar with all of them or not, and see if you think that they fit as well.
And likewise.
And I'll start this off since I have 11 songs. First one that I showed you was Autopsy, with the title track off of their brand new album, Ashes, Organs, Blood, and Crypts.
Yeah.
And you were not impressed.
Well, how about you give your thoughts first since it's on your list?
Well, I think Autopsy is a legendary band in the death doom genre, and they've always had very horror, Halloween-filled lyrics. I mean, the name Autopsy pretty much gives that away.
Yeah.
And, I just think it fits for, the old school fans, and I think it might scare little kids for trick-or-treating. So.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see lyrically and musically why it would be scary for some people. It's just not my cup of tea, but I get why it would be on your list.
And so after that, you picked out a band that I also have later
You
in my list.
You do, but I picked out the song Army from the Graves from Grimheart. You wouldn't think just listening to the music that it would be fitting for Halloween because it's a little bit more kind of the power metal-y, but going off to battle type music. But when you think about the lyrics too, it just fits for kind of that going off to battle some evil, and I like it. Yeah,
totally makes sense. And then after that, I showed you the song "We Eat Our Young" from Cattle Decapitation off the brand new album Terracite.
Yes.
Which there are songs that you have enjoyed off this album. Like, there's more piano-driven stuff on this one. There's some more clean vocals that are going on this album. Before, the band was just, like, utter noise, grindcore.
Yeah.
And over the years, the band has gotten much more professional, and with every subsequent album, I think they've gotten better and better.
Yeah, I would say when they do their clean moments, and that in combination with some of the darker stuff, I enjoy. But when it is, like, not really showcasing that clear kind of clarity and more melodic side, and it's still just not my cup of tea, but they're getting better. They're getting better.
Fair enough. So what about this particular song?
I mean, it was fine. It was fine. Again, I understand, like, lyrically and musically, like, why it would be fitting for Halloween, but it's not my favorite that I've heard.
And again, that makes a lot of sense. I understand why. So what did you have next?
So yeah, up next I had Twin Temple with Black Magic. We talked about them a lot on the previous episodes, and they totally harken back kind of the 50s, 60s sound, but they're satanic at the same time. So it's any other songs would be the perfect fit for Halloween, but this one in particular I just love, and it just would be perfect for a Halloween party.
Yeah, and I originally had Twin Temple on my list. I had the song Let's Have a Satanic Orgy.
Yeah.
For the exact same reason. I thought that would have worked well at a Halloween party for adults and everything. But Black Magic totally fits. I mean, it's that perfect doo-wop sound. Their signature sound, Satanic Doo-wop.
Yeah.
Just like their first album is called. Yeah, the new album just pretty much carries the tradition. They don't need to reinvent the wheel in any way. They are their sound. And that is a very good choice.
Thank you.
Next up for me, I had a new track from Keep of Calcium. Their first album, I think it was 8 or 9 years that they've took off, but they came back with vengeance with this album, and I chose the song Hellride, as to me, especially musically, it feels like escape music, like you're being chased by some kind of villain, some kind of slasher, and you're running away, and that's the music of when you're terrified and you're running away from it. And of course, with the symphonic black and death metal sound that they've been able to pioneer over the years, I think it's one of the best of the style in 2023. How about you?
Yeah, I know this is a band I know you played for me many times throughout the years, and I've always been going to sit down with and listen to more, but I haven't. But I really like this song. It just reminds me of the dogs of the underworld chasing you on a carriage through the woods or something like that. It has that total fitting atmosphere for that.
Oh, for sure. So for this next one, you took a song I originally had on my list. And I thought better of it because I thought this band could be on yours, and I didn't want to double dip too much.
Yeah. So it is At the End of Our Eclipse from Lord of Shadow. Shadows, my apologies. And I think we've talked about this one in previous episodes as well, but it's just very gothic-y, kind of doomy, but very romantic at the same time. To me, it just would be the perfect setting for a vampire love song, but not in a cheesy vampires sparkling in the sunshine type of way, but in an actual dark horror kind of a way.
And of course, when you have the magical voices of Aaron Stainthorpe of My Dying Bride and Heike, formerly of Draconian, singing together, it just really does have that kind of Beauty and the Beast, Phantom of the Opera,
Absolutely.
or Nina and Dracula feel behind it.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up, I went a little unconventional with a more kind of avant-garde vaudevillian horror kind of thing.
Yeah.
With a band known as Oryad. And of course, the busiest man in all of rock and metal, Vikram Shankar, did a lot of the keyboards and orchestration on this album.
Yes.
And I went with the song Blood, which really does encapsulate really that kind of old school, early 20th century kind of vaudeville horror kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised it didn't make your list for this, although maybe it'll show up at the end of the year, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I think this is a very appropriate appropriate song for Halloween.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites earlier on in the year, and I just kind of forgot about it for this list, but it is definitely up there as far as the year in music goes for me. But yeah, this was definitely fitting for Halloween. It has that just kind of gothic, like kind of dark vampiric vibe again, and it's perfect for that.
Yeah, and again, like it's a bit unorthodox, a little of that avant-garde thing. It's almost like kind of a different take on a band like Dog Fashion Disco in a sense, where you know, it's kind of like a little trippy left of center kind of stuff.
Kinda.
But I think it's very, very appropriate for this time of year.
Absolutely.
So what did you have next?
Up next, I picked She Has a Fire from Cradle of Filth, their one single they put out this year.
Yeah, the way it was presented as a single, it made it sound like it was going to be off of their new album, and it was technically.
Right.
But it's the only new song
that
came out.
Yeah. Which was sad, because I am looking forward to some more new stuff from them. But this single was great. I just thoroughly enjoyed it, but I think it's perfect for Halloween. I mean, really, most Cradle of Filth songs would be, but with Cradle of Filth, you kind of get that gothy kind of side, but it's paired up with, you know, kind of that symphy kind of melodic side as well, and it's just super dark and just hit the atmosphere so well.
It's true, and it's a little more streamlined, a little more mainstream kind of sound for Cradle of Filth.
Absolutely.
But I also think it really, really works for Cradle of Filth as well.
I agree. Like, it's way more people friendly. Like, that looks good on them.
Which, of course, makes it very good for a Halloween party, or maybe scare the little kids when they hear Danny Felt doing his shrieks.
Yes.
So next up, I decided to throw a little Wilfred Brimley your way.
Yes.
With his favorite band, Don Fetus. And the song Throw 'Em in the Van.
Yeah.
A song about abduction, unaliving, and probably some stuff that happens in between.
Yes.
Much of the horror movie trope.
Oh, absolutely.
What'd you think?
I'm gonna have the kind of similar song to some of the previous tunes I have played this evening and say that lyrically, musically, I totally get why you would pick it for a Halloween playlist and totally makes sense, totally fit, but just not my cup of tea.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I think it does fit, and it is my cup of tea.
Oh,
so.
totally. Yeah.
But next up, you went in a different kind of direction.
I did. So I picked No Words Sad Enough by Calma, who I love. We'll just throw that out there. But it's a very dark and kind of brooding song. I mean, it's a ballad, which is not typical for them.
You mean it's their only ballad to date?
Depending on how you look at it, but yeah, I mean,
the band has even said it, so it's their only ballad.
Yeah, but like it just fits again, like kind of with some of my themes of earlier on my picks, like kind of that just dark kind of horror love song, you know, and it's just perfect.
No, I get that. You're picking a lot of romantic love horror stuff.
I mean, I was dealt the cards I was dealt this year, you know, it's what came out this year that hit me.
Right on. Well, next up, I have music that's basically the equivalent of sleep paralysis with the band Nightmare.
Yes.
And they're the first track off their new album, Deformity Adrift, Brutalist Imperator.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think of this?
I wasn't completely sure what to make of it. I mean, vocally, I didn't really enjoy very much. Musically, I was kind of just thrown off because it's not like anything really I've heard before. I mean, it's on the one hand, no, it's not my cup of tea, but on the other hand, could it be a tea for a certain mood? I don't know.
I understand that. I mean, they write just like their name suggests, a lot of their songs have to do with like ideas of like dreams and nightmares and things becoming reality. And I kind of make the equivalent of like sleep paralysis, where you're like stuck, you can't move, and you're scared. And that's kind of the soundtrack that it gives off to me.
That makes sense, yeah.
So next up, you had a song from an artist that we both love that I have not actually heard yet.
No, I get to introduce you to one this time. So I picked the most recent single from Anders Manga, who we've talked about many times in the past. He is the frontman of Bloody Hammers, but he also does a lot of solo work as well, which is amazing. And this was the song Phantom. Much like with most of his songs, it's very horror related in lyrics, but just the atmosphere of it too. It's very kind of creepy, but yet kind of electronic in a way, and a little bit of 80s sound kind of. It's just kind of this amazing mix of so many different things, but it's just so perfect Halloween.
Yeah, it's really got that like the gothic dark wave, synth wave kind of sound, and of course his signature voice. I mean, you can recognize that anywhere.
He could be like a human crypt keeper.
He really could.
He could. side.
And that's a glowing endorsement coming from
Yes,
us.
it's true.
So, what do you like more, Bloody Hammers or Anders Manga's solo work?
Oh gosh, I can't pick. I can't pick. That's too hard. Like they're both. I mean, and there's such diversity on both sides, so it's hard to like pick anything on either side because it just depends on your mood.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If I did have to pick one, I would say Bloody Hammers because there's more content.
That's true. That is true.
Whereas the solo stuff, it's there, but you never know when it's coming out.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might be an EP, sometimes it might just be one song at a time. You know,
Exactly.
it completely varies. But I love everything that he's done to date.
Yeah. What would you pick next?
Oh boy, did we go into a different direction here while also hearkening back to earlier in the show.
Yeah.
It's a new band I discovered this year called Orphans of Dusk and their debut album Spleen with the song I'm Going to Haunt You When I Die.
Yes.
And what band did this remind you of?
It is very, very, very typo. Very typo. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed this one.
Oh, there's typo, but that chorus was pure Woods Vibre.
Well, yeah.
The clean singer of this band is like David Gold incarnated.
Yeah,
reincarnated.
I can see that.
So, yeah, like it's definitely got the typo Woods Vibre. I heard some Paradise Lost in there too for like some more of like the gothic metal side.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's a very varied album.
Oh, for sure.
And I think it's something you would actually enjoy if you had checked it out yourself.
Yeah, this is one I'm gonna have to check out the more.
But then, of course, you had to go into a completely different direction with the next one.
Direction. Yes, I picked Demons of the Night from Mystic Prophecy. So this is another one where, you know, when you first listen to it, like musically, it wouldn't be Scream Halloween to a lot of people, but lyrically, it definitely does. And music, it kind of does for me too, because it has that, even though it's kind of power metal-y, it has that kind of hint of 80s vibe to it too that takes me back into like 80s, like thrashers and stuff like that. And it just puts me in the mood for Halloween.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And yeah, lyrically, it makes so much sense why you'd put it on here. And I don't know if they ever did a video for this one or not, but I could just imagine all the hellfire and everything going around them as it's going on.
Exactly.
Next up, I'm curious to see what you think of this one. It's a brand new title track from Carnifex with Necromantium. Now, on their previous album, Graveside Confessions, it was like pure, unadulterated deathcore. Like regular, what deathcore has been for so long to a T. On this album, they decided to do what a lot of bands have been starting to incorporate in the deathcore genre as of late and add symphonics to it.
Yeah.
You could say it's the Lorna Shore effect, and I think this is one of the better examples of how to do it right, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the more symphonic elements of this album. I think it would still take a minute for me to get into it, though, just because the non-symphonic elements aren't totally up my alley, but when you add them in combination, there's a potential I can get into it. There's a potential.
What does a deathcore kid say when he's going down a slide?
Ouch. That makes sense.
All right, so you're up next with another band I was going to be putting on here, but I knew better. I knew better.
You knew I'd be on mine.
I only did it once, which is amazing with not knowing your list. We only had one crossover, but this is a band that we both love.
And it should come as no shocker to anybody who's listened to almost any episode in the past, because I'm pretty sure I talked about them in every episode. But it is Blackbriar with the song My Soul's Demise. Again, Blackbriar is amazing. If you don't haven't listened to them, go listen to them. If you have listened to them and you don't like them, you don't have taste. I'm sorry. But this song in particular is just so haunting and so ethereal, much like the rest of their music. But this one is just lyrically just like gripping and just drags you down, and like it's perfect for Halloween.
Yeah, I think this is the video that they did where Zora was a lotus eater, like eating people's souls away and stuff. So it totally fits. Yeah. It's very gothic. It's very heavy.
Yeah.
Zora's vocals are an acquired taste. I can understand, like, if you like a particular style, but I also think it's the kind of style that you should just put up your grown-up pants, put them on tights, and actually just enjoy the vocals because they are worth it. The whole band just rules. One of my favorite interviews that I did this year was with Blackbriar, and I won't rest until they take Amaranth's place as the band with the female fronted band, as other people like to refer to them as, in the top spot. Blackbriar should be up there.
Yes, agreed. What do you have?
I also kind of went down a similar trope with the female fronted vocals and stuff. I really do hate that phrase.
I know.
But it is a band that not a lot of people have talked about, and especially considering this is a new project featuring members of Shape of Despair, Sentenced, and the Man-Eating Tree. I'm amazed no one's talking about this album.
Yeah.
It is the band known as The Abbey, and off their debut album Word of Sin, I chose 1,000 Dead Witches.
Yes.
Kind of going off of last week with your favorite Treehouse of Horror segment,
Easy Bake Coven.
So this might have been the first time you've heard it.
I think so.
What'd you think?
Not at all what I would have expected hearing who's in it. Like, it does not sound like Sentenced. Let's just put that out there. I'm kind of torn on it right now. I didn't dislike it, but I definitely think it's one I'd have to like kind of dive into a little bit more, because it wasn't just an automatically, oh yeah, I love this.
Well, I did pick a deeper song off the album.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go with the one that I felt like had the most to do with like Halloween, horror, and
that makes sense.
Witches, obviously. But I think if you actually like heard the album as it was supposed to be heard, I think you might like more.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't.
Maybe not.
I can see a lot of people not liking this because there's a lot of Ghost vibes on here.
Yeah.
Particularly the first album from Ghost, you really hear that 70s occult rock kind of feel. But that is entirely up my alley. So, again, another acquired taste.
And it makes it perfect for Halloween, so.
Exactly. Another band I was going to have on here that
you knew I would.
I'd let you have it on here. And I'll always remember when we first heard the promo. I mean, that's one of the advantages of being with me is you get to hear some albums ahead of time before anybody else. The band Night Demon.
Yes.
When we first heard this, we did not know what to think of it, but by the end of it, we absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's definitely a step in a different direction than their previous work, but it's amazing. And I picked the song Beyond the Grave. A lot of their music would work from any of their albums for Halloween. That's why they're on my previous albums for Halloween list. But this one in particular is it's a little bit slowed down. It's a little bit kind of doomier, but it's just totally fitting for the mood of Halloween.
Oh yeah, and I just love everything about this album. I'm not going to give anything away, but it's going to be pretty high.
Yeah.
In my top 100 albums of 2023, and I know a lot of people are not liking this album. I think they wanted Curse of the Damned too, which I understand. That is a phenomenal album.
Great album.
But I think Outsider is just better.
I feel like I hate to use the term grew up, because it's not like the previous album was childish or whatever, or lesser or anything like that, but it's just, it's a different version. It's matured. It's a different version of them.
Or matured.
Matured.
No, I think it just fits perfectly.
Yeah.
And for me, closing everything out in these 21 songs, maybe we should have had 13 each to really hit the point home of Halloween. I don't know. But this was the one crossover that we had. I picked a different song.
I think you missed one.
Oh. I read the list completely wrong.
Yeah.
My apologies. One song was highlighted and I thought it was that.
Yep.
My apologies. My penultimate choice.
Yes.
Going into that symphonic death metal deathcore sound is another band with their debut album, Of Sulfur.
Yes.
And off the album, The Burden of Faith. Those are both with V's, not F's.
Of course, because they're true.
Yes. With the song Earthen, which is a song about the main songwriter vocalist of the band losing someone underage.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Not to go into details about it, but it sounds like something that you would hear in Hereditary. It sounds like Pet Sematary. It's just like when it has to do with a child, it can bring up some of the most ultimate sadness and fear and stuff like that. And I think it just matches the tone real well.
Yeah, I really like the combination of like the symphonic elements over the like dark craziness of this song. And it's perfectly Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, I could have chose the song with Howard Jones on there because I know how much you love his voice.
I do love me some
and
Howard
he is
Jones.
A stud of man. A stud of a man.
Stud of a man.
All right, your final choice.
My final choice is Demon by Enforcer. No secret that I love Enforcer, and again, they're one of those bands that pretty much anything would be fitting for Halloween, just because the vibe of them that is that very like 80s metal sound that just fits like teen slashers, and it just fit perfectly.
And of course, that's off the album Nostalgia.
Exactly.
You can't say nostalgia. You have to sing it like he does in the song.
Exactly.
Oh, this band reminds me of Banana Hammocks for some reason. But really, when it comes to Enforcer, I really enjoy what they're doing with this album. I know their last album, we even talked about in the interview that I did with him a few months back, that a lot of people did not dig the last album. So with this one, they're kind of going back into their tried and true sound.
Yeah.
And I think it just works for them. I mean, they sound very confident on this album, and some of their best songs that they've written are on here.
This is an amazing album that will be pretty high up on mine as well.
But I know what your number one is, but I'm not going to say anything.
We'll see.
Oh, come on. I mean, you've been slapping people over the face with it for weeks about which one's probably going to be number one.
I guess we'll stay tuned.
Granted, it's worth it.
Yes.
And finally, my final choice for this, coming in at lucky number 21, is the one crossover that we've had. And yes, I finally got it right this time. It is the band Grimheart off of To Die by the Succubus.
Yes.
To Die by the Succubus.
Yes.
Yeah. Easily just a horror trope right then and there, you know, being lured in by a demon that will kill you. And I think it's so appropriate for the time of year. The song really fits, and just Grimheart in general. I mean, that mellow death power metal sound is so infectious.
It is.
It combines two genres that I love so much, and Grimheart just does it to a T.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like I said earlier, again, when you first listen to the music wouldn't necessarily strike you as something that's for Halloween, but when you listen to the lyrics and you kind of just feel out the vibe of it, it definitely does work.
And that is our 21 songs for Heavy Debriefings Most Evil Halloween 12. What do you think? Do we make some good choices? Do we make some bad choices? Are we posers for not picking up songs from Cannibal Corpse or Cryptopsy or Suffocation? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know what songs that you would add to this list. That'd be very curious to see what you have in mind.
So up next, we have our second Halloween segment of the week and final Halloween segment overall. But that's okay. There will be next year. We are going to be talking about the best and the worst Halloween candy.
I want candy, bubblegum or taffy.
So,
and my sweetheart Sandy.
How did you go about thinking this? Did you think strictly like Halloween specific things, or just kind of candy in general?
Well, I grew up in a very small town in Clear Lake.
Yes.
So just candy in general was all we had for Halloween. Like, if you couldn't get it at the local grocery, you weren't getting that candy.
Right.
So the only exception was my piano teacher in school was married to a dentist. So instead of getting candy, we got toothbrushes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I did a little bit of both. I mean, a lot of candy for Halloween is regular candy, but there's some more specific ones as well. Yeah, I totally get you. I mean, I didn't grow up in a tiny town, but this was pre-Amazon days where you could just have next day delivery on stuff. So
sometimes same day.
Exactly. So let's start with the best, because that's just a happy note, and then we'll go to the worst.
We're gonna end on a sad note, huh?
Yes, that's how we roll in this show. Okay. So what are some of your favorites?
My absolute favorite candy, I guess I'll do it that way.
Okay.
Is Skittles.
Yep.
I love Skittles. In fact, when we went to Minnesota's largest candy store,
yes,
that is one of the last candies that I haven't even had yet, because I wanted to save the best for last.
But it's not regular Skittles, though, is it?
No, it is not. It is something I've never had before, and that is
freeze-dried Skittles.
Which I don't know how that affects anything.
Yes,
apparently that's a trend on TikTok, you said?
Yes, the freeze-dried candies in general has been a huge trend on TikTok for a while now, and yeah, it just gives that big crunch, and a lot of people do like ASMR videos with it and stuff.
Well, people have already told me my voice would work really well for ASMR, but
it would.
I don't want any things you can't control to happen with the sound of my voice.
Yeah.
Being so sensual.
Oh, dear.
As I'm eating.
Get over yourself.
As I'm eating my freeze-dried Skittles, so I don't know if I should do that. Although maybe that should be my OnlyFans.
Oh dear.
Well, I say that because
you hit a milestone this week.
Yes, which we'll be talking about at the end of the show. But
Yes.
because of that mile mark, I said that I would look more into the idea of starting an OnlyFans. So maybe those will be my videos of me talking sensuously ASMR style and eating freeze-dried Skittles.
Oh, hold yourself back, ladies. Hold yourself back.
So, oh, thanks. What do you know? You're with me.
Fair.
All right. So what's your favorite candy? Your number one.
Oh gosh, my number one for Halloween is probably Reese's Pumpkins. Because any Reese's holiday shape is superior to anything else in this entire world. So that is my favorite. But I have a lot of other ones that I love. So should we just
I
go back?
thought we were going back.
Yeah,
and
we can
forth
go
like
back and
this.
forth. Yeah. So that is my favorite, though. That is my favorite.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
The rest of these are just going off the top of my head. I did like the one that I like most, and then the rest are kind of interchangeable.
And do you like Reese's Pumpkins? I guess we should say if we like each other's too.
Well, do you like Skittles?
I'm not a huge Skittles person. I'm way more of a like chocolate person than a candy person, which you will find out throughout this, but
I had a feeling.
once in a while I can do a red Skittle.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And you?
I just never been big into Reese's. I don't.
Yeah.
It's probably because of my traumatic childhood.
Right.
There's probably some reason I don't like Reese's, even though I love
Probably.
peanut butter.
You do.
I love chocolate.
Yeah.
But combined, I'm just not that interested, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Next up is I'll go the chocolate route as well.
Okay.
Crunch.
Ooh, yes.
I love the Crunch bars. Those little fun-size Crunch bars were so fun to open and just like bite right into. I love the
Yes.
chocolate. I love the Rice Krispie in there. Just a really good combination to me.
They are delicious. Another favorite of mine is Reese's Pieces. So just like
So what's the difference between the Reese's Pumpkin and the Reese's in general?
I mean, with the Reese's Pieces, you get the like crunch too as well, and then you also have the candy shell, so you could suck on it if you want to, kind of like an M&M.
Okay.
So both are delicious, and of course you're ET when you eat Reese's Pieces.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah, again, like, maybe I'll get over it at some points and I'll
Yes.
enjoy something of Reese's, or if you really want to be stupid, Reese's.
Ugh, no.
Do not trust people who say Reese's.
No.
Do not trust them.
No.
All right, I'll continue on the chocolate route. I think one that we both heavily agree on.
Yes.
Give me a break.
That
Give
was
me a
my
break.
next one too.
Break me off a piece of that. Kit Kat bar. Yes.
Yes.
I love the milk chocolate. I love the white ones. I can't remember if I've had the dark chocolate. I mean, there's so many different kinds of Kit Kats.
yeah.
And if we lived over in Japan, we would get all the different varieties out there.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, like over in Japan, they have so many different kinds of Kit Kats I would love to try.
Yeah.
But the original is always going to be my favorite.
Absolutely.
I just love them.
100% agree. That was my next one, but I will go on to my other one. So this is a bit of a just me situation because a lot of people hate these, but mellow cream pumpkins and candy corn. I love them. They're so good, but I know so many people hate them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of them. What is it about them?
They're just sweet and like creamy, kind of like it's almost like an amped up but like chewy marshmallow, not like soft marshmallow, but like a hardened marshmallow cream in a way. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Makes sense. Next up for me, going back into the fruit variety,
Yes.
Starburst.
Okay.
I am a big Starburst guy.
Yeah.
I used to never eat the yellow ones for some reason.
Yeah.
Even back when I was a little kid, I remember even with Skittles, like I would not eat the yellow and green ones, and I would actually drop them behind the couch because I did not want them.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know why that was. But yeah, I love the original Starburst. The other flavors haven't really drawn my interest at all.
Yeah.
Like the tropical or the other
Yeah.
ones like that.
Yeah.
But the original Starburst of orange, strawberry, cherry, and lemon just do it for me.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Starburst person either. I can eat one once in a while, but it's not something I'd ever gravitate towards. And the other flavors I definitely don't like. So
Yeah, even the pink Starburst. You had little drink packets that you just gave away this past weekend.
they tasted weird. I don't know. Up next on my list is caramel apple suckers. Oh, I love those suckers, but they get stuck in your mouth really easily. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah, that's another one I've always been afraid of trying for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah. Well, you're not a big apple guy, are you? Or...
I love apple juice. I love
Okay.
apple sauce.
That's true. That's
So I don't
true.
know what my problem is.
Yeah, you have issues.
Girl, let me explain. And 5 hours later, we've returned after chapter 1.
Yes.
Next up, Hershey's Cookies and Cream.
Ooh, yeah, those are good.
Like, I love the original Hershey's milk chocolate so much.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the Hershey Kisses and that legendary Christmas commercial of We Wish You a Merry Christmas with the Hershey Kisses bells going on. One of my favorite Christmas commercials.
Oh, yeah.
But the Cookies and Cream is my favorite overall. It's that Hershey's white chocolate and cookies mixed together in perfect bliss.
Yeah, it is very good. My next one is Butterfingers. I
never see you eat Butterfingers.
I forget about them. Like, I used to like them a lot more when I was younger. The one thing I don't like is they get stuck in your teeth very easily. It's kind of hard to get out, but
I think that's why I stopped eating them.
probably, yeah. But they're so good. They're just that crunchy. I like eating the chocolate off of it first and then eating the inside. Like, they're just so good. And Bart didn't endorse them, so why not?
Well, used to endorse them.
Used to, yeah.
Back when Bart Mania was going on.
Exactly. What's next for you?
Three Musketeers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's got the 3 different kinds of chocolate in there. I avoided them for a very, very long time. Then I actually ate one, and I loved it. And I don't know why I avoided it for so long. Like, yeah, it's just like 3 different kinds of chocolate mixed together. It tastes so good.
I like them. They're kind of similar. I mean, not similar in like what is in them, but like to a Milky Way, where it's like I forget about how good they are until I have them. But they are delicious. Up next on my end is Quick.
That was gonna be my next one.
Was it? Yeah, they are good. Like I like eating the caramel off the top first, and then I eat the wafer on the bottom. But they're delicious.
Yeah, they're another one that I avoided for the longest time without any real reason. But once I finally like got over myself and tried a Twix, delicious.
Yes.
But my next one, Nerds. I love Nerds. I know they're small. I know they're fruity taste, which I know is not your bag.
Yeah.
But I love Nerds.
Yeah.
It's just so fun to pour in your hand and just have all the little ones on there. I just love them.
Yeah, I hate Nerds. I hate them. Like, they make my mouth pucker.
Really?
Yeah, and I always fear I'm gonna like crack my teeth when I eat them. And
they're not that hard.
I know, but I just, nope.
Tootsie Pops are harder than Nerds.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't chew them like the owl.
1, a 2, a 3. Crunch.
3. Up next for me is 100 Grand.
Another one I'd never see you eat.
Yeah, well, I forget about these ones too, and you don't see them everywhere, but they're so good because it's almost like a Crunch bar filled with caramel. And what is better than that?
100 grand.
Exactly. Well, that's true. Yeah, yes. Yes, that would be true.
I'd rather have the money than the candy.
That is true. That is true.
Jolly Ranchers is next for me. Sometimes you just want something to suck on, giggity, for a while.
That is actually on my worst list.
Do you want to go into the worst list now?
Yeah, well, we'll save it. We'll save it.
Okay.
But, yeah. Not my thing. Not my thing.
Fair enough.
Up next on my end, Junior Mints.
Junior Mints?
Yes. Number one, I love that the little packs come in a little box because they're just cute. But I like when I was a kid and I got these in my basket or my Halloween bag, whatever I used. Like, these ones are the ones I'd save at the end because then I'd have good breath afterwards. But like, they're perfect. They're little chocolate covered, minty, soft, delicious bites of heaven, and they're so good.
Similar, but in a very different way. That's how I felt about orange Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
Like, I loved having those because it always made my breath so much better when I had orange Tic Tacs.
I hate orange Tic Tacs.
Really?
Yes. I like the white Tic Tacs solely. The green ones are too strong. Like, the white ones are just a little bit mellow and perfect.
The orange are the best ones.
Ugh. Anything else on your end?
I've been trying to think. I mean,
Otherwise,
you've been
I have a few more.
You've been poo-pooing a lot of mine, and I just don't think I want to take it anymore. So what are the rest of your best?
So I have Whoppers. Again, it comes in a little fun box, and then it's basically like a malted milk ball covered in chocolate. So I like to suck the chocolate off, and then you just suck on the malted milk ball till it gets soft, and then you do it.
Giggity.
Next up, Rolos are one of my favorites. They've been one of my favorites since I was little.
I used to have those all the time as a little kid.
They're so
And then
good.
for some reason I stopped.
They're so good. And then finally, Sixlets.
I don't know if I'm familiar.
They're like little round M&Ms, almost like chocolate covered or candy covered chocolate balls, but it's in like maybe a couple inch long little packet, and yeah, they're like multiple colors and stuff. I thought I had you try them before, but maybe not.
I do not remember if you
I
did.
will get some the next time I see them, but they're delicious.
All right, now it's time for the real heated debates here
Yes.
for the worst candies.
I'll start.
Okay.
Licorice of any kind, but
Any kind.
especially black. Black licorice is terrible. I don't trust people who like black licorice. I don't understand where they're coming from. Like the cherry kind I can eat without like going into convulsions or anything like that, but it is not enjoyable, you know?
My mom's favorite candy is Twizzlers or Red Vines or something like that. She loves that stuff, and she always wanted me to have some, and I never liked it.
Yeah.
And black licorice, I mean, the equivalent, if you've never had it before, is Diet root beer. Diet A&W root beer. Because we had that before, and it just tasted like straight up black licorice.
Not from a can, though. It was like an off kind from like a restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so awful.
Yeah.
And I had to be a trooper and drink the rest of it, and because I didn't want to throw it away, considering how much it costs.
Right.
But ugh.
What about you?
Candy corn.
Okay.
Candy corn's probably number one.
Yeah.
There's nothing fun about candy corn for Halloween. As Lewis Black said, I'm going to paraphrase this, all the candy corn ever made was made in 1916. And they've just been trying to offload it on the kids ever since.
I will take it. So up next for me, I don't know the actual name of this, but the little orange and black peanut butter, like taffy type things.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, do you remember those? Like, half of them were in the orange wrapper, half were in the black wrapper.
Yes.
And like,
I don't even know if they have a real name.
I don't know, but like, I love peanut butter, but these tasted just weird. And like, I don't know who thought this was a good idea.
And that's the other thing. I'm not saying it's made of this, but it's a little peanut butter rant. Get the normal peanut butter. Enough of this healthy peanut butter crap. That's not what you eat peanut butter for. Where it looks like bile yellow that you're spreading all over everything. No. Again, be an adult. Eat the real friggin' peanut butter.
And
Thank you.
That's your PSA for the evening.
Yeah. Oh, I have more if you let me.
What is your next?
Circus peanuts.
I love circus peanuts.
Well, you hated some things that I love, so it's time to turn it back around.
That's fine.
Yeah, they just taste so stale to me. You know, it's like if you leave like those little mini marshmallows out, you know, like they're in like a cylinder type shape now, kind of thing. But or Lucky Charms. Like if you leave a box of Lucky Charms open for 3 days and then you eat the marshmallows, that's what circus peanuts remind me of.
I mean, I think unfortunately a lot of times when you get circus peanuts, because not many people buy them, they probably are stale when you get them.
Yeah, and that's all I've ever had.
But when you get them fresh, I like them.
There's no such thing as fresh circus peanuts.
My next one is Necco wafers. Do you remember those?
I kind of remember the
round
name.
little lat. Like there was different colors. Like there was a chocolate kind that was the best of the bunch, but that was like terrible. And then
Oh wait, is that the pink chocolate vanilla? It's kind of like Neapolitan.
Similar colors. I don't know if that's actually what the flavors were, but it's chalk. That's basically what it is. A chalk.
My grandma.
Yes.
On my dad's side.
Grandparents are the ones who
had
did
those
this.
all the time.
Yes, this was divvied out by grandparents.
Yeah, because I remember chocolate. I remember pink, and I remember like it was like yellow orange, but I think it said like it was vanilla.
There might have been
something.
That. There was different varieties of it too.
But yeah, it's like a really stale ice cream cone mixed with really bad cream.
It's like eating chalk coin.
I didn't know they were called Necco wafers. I learned something today.
Yeah, you.
Oh man, there's anything peanut.
Okay.
I guess is a good way to put it. Anything from peanut M&Ms to Milky Way to any of that kind of stuff. Okay. I don't like peanuts in my candy.
I don't mind it with some things. I'm not a huge fan of peanut M&Ms, but I don't mind some of the candy bars within them. So it just varies. My next one is Dots. You look confused. You know them? You know them?
Oh yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say something not fair about that. But,
there's just these little like gummy, but too hard to be gummies, and they just get stuck in your teeth, and they don't taste that great, and they're just gross.
Warheads.
Oh yeah.
Warhead. I don't like sour.
Yeah, me either.
It is hard for me to enjoy sour. That's why I hated it when Skittles replaced the lime with green apple.
Yes.
And I'm so glad they went back to lime. I didn't know if I was ever going to live in a world again where they had lime Skittles again. And I'm so glad that I came back. But Warheads, just, like the whole thing. It's like, can you even suck on this for 30 seconds because of how sour it is? It's like you're trying to hurt kids.
Yeah.
Having those. Those are just outrageously bad.
Agreed. Mike and Ike's.
Really?
Yeah, not my thing. Not my thing.
I guess because it's not chocolate, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's weird, like, I don't know if this one really counts as candy.
Okay.
But I just remembered now
Yeah.
that there was one person in town that always gave away little bags of kettle corn.
Oh, yeah, I don't like kettle corn either.
Yeah.
I
like,
love caramel corn. I love buttered corn. I love cheese corn. But no, not kettle corn.
yeah, kettle corn. I know Todd from BoJack loves it. It's sweet and savory. But it's just, no, I want sweet or I want savory. I don't want both in that combination in popcorn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was Halloween for me, getting little bags with little twist ties on them of kettle corn.
Or I remember getting popcorn balls that basically were like kettle corn because they didn't have any flavor to them like, at all.
Yes, I remember those as well.
Yep. And up next on mine is sweet tarts.
I love sweet tarts.
Really?
Yeah.
They're sour and gross.
Not the ones I've ever had.
Oh, maybe my sour is a little bit more exaggerated than yours.
Maybe.
Any others in here?
I'm trying to
I have
think.
plenty more, so I can keep going.
You do a few more, and I'll try to see if there's any more that come to mind.
Well, up next was the Jolly Ranchers. Again, for me, they hit me as a little too, like, sour to me. I mean, that's sour, but just a little too abrasive.
Maybe that's the word, yeah. I wouldn't consider Jolly Ranchers sour at all.
Yeah. Smarties, they're sour, too.
Oh, the knockoff sweet tarts.
Yeah. Non-chocolate or vanilla Tootsie Rolls. Remember they had, like, the fruit...
Yes,
They had, like, the fruit-colored one, fruit-flavored ones.
I haven't thought about those in, like, decades.
Yeah, I don't mind the chocolate ones, and I love the vanilla Tootsie Rolls, but, like, the fruity-flavored ones,
My mom would try to get those for me all the time, and they always tasted terrible. I specifically remember the grape ones, and it was not good.
Not good. Sprees. So that was kind of like Smarties and
like there were the little circles in both, kind of like a fruit taste.
Yeah,
not good.
Oh, up next, I like the taste of it, but everything else, no. Sugar babies. Like they taste good, but they just get in your teeth, and you cannot get them out.
Yeah, when they melt, they do not leave your teeth.
And then same line, sugar daddies, which is the exact same thing, just different form. You have any others yet, or I can keep going?
I'm kind of blanking on everything.
I'll keep going then. Runts. Remember those?
You said runts, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I...
They were kind of like nerds, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, yeah, I remember the commercial now for them. Yeah, I remember now.
Yep, terrible. Airheads. Terrible.
Yeah, I've never been an Airheads fan. I've tried. The movie's good.
Right? Good and plenty. Nope. Wax anything. So wax lips, like the little wax bottles with like look like soda bottles with like a fruit drink in them.
Yes.
Anything wax. Why? You can't eat the wax. Stop it.
It's so stupid. It's like telling kids to eat crayons.
Yeah, crayons.
Crayons.
It's not a cranberry, it's a crayon.
All right, this is going to be another debate for a future show.
Yes, it will.
Who's saying it right? Crayon or crayon?
It's crayon.
It's crayon.
I have two more. Pixie sticks.
I've never had them.
Really? Okay.
I just know that they're pure sugar.
But like they're sour though. It's like sour sugar powder you're pouring into your mouth.
You keep saying sour as if you know what that means, but I don't. I don't think you're using sour right.
I think I do. And finally, Raisinets.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I like raisins, and I love like a good yogurt covered raisin. Sometimes even chocolate covered raisins, but not for Halloween. Who wants a box of chocolate covered raisins for Halloween?
People who can't go to the bathroom, that's who.
Well, there you go. Any others you can think of on your end?
Get the cranberry juice going on, and
get the crayon berry juice.
We're gonna come to blows, and you're gonna see us on a new episode of Cops. No, seriously, yeah. No, I think that's pretty much it. Like, despite my figure, I don't eat that much kinds of candy.
Yeah.
Like, there's much other bad stuff that I enjoy instead. Right. But I think it covered a good ground with the best and worst candy.
Absolutely.
So what about you listening to this? To close out our Halloween segments, what candy do you enjoy? What candy do you not enjoy? Who had the better list of the best and worst?
Yes. And what would you like to see over the next couple months as we venture into 2 other holidays.
And is it crayon or crayon? Let us know in the comments below. That's how we'll know if you really listen to the show.
Yes.
You say crayon or crayon.
Yes. All right, switching gears a little bit. We don't really have anything on the TV side this week, but we did.
Yeah, no wrestling, no Simpsons, no Bob's Burgers, no new shows.
No, but we do have a couple movies that we watched that we need to share the love of. Up first, we watched Slotherhouse.
Yes, on Hulu.
Yes.
Slotherhouse.
What were your thoughts?
Well, we should probably describe it a little bit.
Sure. So, without giving too much away, there is a sorority girl. Well, as if you're familiar with pop culture right now and all the social media outlets and stuff, cute animals are all the rage. And if you have a cute animal in your video or in your pictures, you're going to get more likes and you're going to become more popular on said social media outlet. And so a sorority girl uses this to her advantage to try to gain some popularity. We'll just leave it at that. And it ends up being a sloth that she takes into her sorority house, and we'll just say it causes some mischief.
Some baffling
mischief.
The first 15-20 minutes, I did not enjoy it whatsoever, because it feels like a little girl not being appreciated enough in her sorority.
Yeah.
But then, once the sloth really truly comes into play, that's when it's worth watching.
Yes.
I will say it's an absolute piece of crap of a movie. It absolutely sucks, but it is so worth watching.
Yes.
If you can just get over that little bump in the beginning, all the rest of it is so worth it. If you love crappy B, C, D rated horror movies that you just can't stop laughing at because of the absurdity, this is a movie for you.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's a terrible movie. It's terrible acting. Horrendous. But if you just go with it and keep in mind that it is going to go places that you never thought it would, and just sit back and enjoy it for what it is, you will get some good giggles out of it.
Yes, if you need something that you absolutely have to turn your mind off for.
Yes.
Because if you start thinking about how any of it is plausible, you'll get mad.
Yes.
You need to turn your mind off completely. And if you need a movie like that for an hour and a half romp, this is it.
It is a romp. I would say that we also watched Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes, and neither of us have played the games.
No.
But I am familiar with the games. I've seen enough about them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a point-click adventure, at least it started off that way, where you look at all these different cameras in this abandoned kids' party restaurant with animatronics.
Yes.
And you're a night watchman to just see what goes on throughout the night.
Yeah.
And then some shenanigans begin.
Exactly.
And that's more or less what happens in the movie, but way overwritten for what the actual premise of the story is. Like, they had to add a story around it to make you care a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it more or less covered the same things.
Yeah, yeah. I would say this one was executed better than the first one. Like, it was better.
It is a Blumhouse film.
Yeah, it was better acting. It was better kind of script and everything. It's still very unrealistic, but it's still enjoyable. I mean, I think the first one was funnier, so in that respect, you get more out of it that way. But this one was totally worth a watch for being free on Peacock, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Peacock, so... Yeah, if you have a little bit of time, go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you played the games, there might be some more Easter eggs and stuff like that that I'm not catching or you're not catching. But I know it's not for everybody. But again, if you got Peacock and you're looking for a new horror movie, or if you're into gaming and you just wanted to see what all the hubbub is about, it's worth watching.
Exactly.
It's not the best video game adaptation of anything I've ever seen. I mean, it's not The Last of Us. It's not Twisted Metal. It's
not.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes.
But yeah, not bad. And I guess I want to add this little part in here. Much to my dismay, we had so much more plans to watch more horror movies over the past month. Like, we were going to go to Alamo Drafthouse. Like, they were playing a different curated horror movie every single night. And we were just going to watch more stuff. But so many things happened that prevented us from really getting into stuff right before the nitty-gritty of the next 2 days come around. So... If you were looking for, like, us talking about, like, full-on horror new movies and stuff like that, we did try to capture some of that.
Yeah.
And I apologize for not going further. Hopefully, if we're still together next year, if we're still doing this next year, we'll be able to incorporate a lot more horror movies into the lead up of Halloween.
And we'll always watch them throughout the year as well. And probably in the next day or two, we'll be watching some too.
So how did you feel about these segments over the past 2 months?
I've enjoyed them. I mean, obviously, it's no shocker. It shouldn't be any shocker at this point to anybody that I love Halloween. So anything I can do to incorporate Halloween-related stuff and horror-related stuff, I am all over.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Scary stuff. Scary stuff. Yes, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this as well. I mean, you're way more into horror than I am, but I do love horror as well. And it was just fun being able to go over all of this with you. And, you know, this is the longest possible time before we get into more of the horror stuff again.
Well, Halloween.
For Halloween.
Yeah.
Missed cutoff. But, you know, it's going to be fun doing other stuff for the rest of the year. I mean, for people checking out the show that's not necessarily into Halloween horror stuff, we're going to be doing other kinds of lists and stuff like that. Of course, the big thing that'll be coming up is the top albums of the year when we get into November and December and all that stuff. We'll be doing all of our best of the year stuff going on, games, movies, TV shows, all that stuff. So, I mean, besides the next segment, which does have some horror stuff attached to it, this is pretty much it for the Halloween stuff. So, I mean, it's been fun going over this with you.
It has. And up next, we got a little video game chatter. So you've been playing a few games over the past week.
Yeah, I've been playing 3 of them. The first one I finished up is Spider-Man 2, and that is one of the best games of the year.
Yeah.
Getting to swing around New York as Miles and Peter throughout the entire game. I loved everything that happened with it. Tony Todd as Venom was just absolutely perfect, and including a very jaw-dropping moment that you don't see coming. You get to do something that I never would have expected, maybe in a spin-off, but not in this one. It was so great, and I'm so excited to see what they're going to be doing next.
Yeah.
I almost platinumed the game. Unfortunately, one of the trophies requires a replay, and there's so many other games I want to play right now that I haven't had the chance to, so when New Game Plus comes by the end of the year, maybe into 2024, I will replay it and get that trophy. But until then, I loved everything about what happened, and sets up a lot of good stuff for whatever the next game, or potentially the final chapter of the Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
What did you think watching it?
Yeah, I mean, visually, it looks amazing. I really enjoyed the storyline of it too. Being who I am, I couldn't watch everything because it makes me a little dizzy. But outside of that, though, it looked really fun, and I would really recommend to anybody.
What was your thoughts on Tony Todd?
Oh, I mean, I love Tony Todd in anything. I mean, he can do no wrong to me, but yeah, he fits Venom perfectly.
And you have a newfound appreciation for Venom now.
I do.
But Venom or Kraven the Hunter?
Well, it depends on what for.
Well, go on.
I mean, Kraven he's the best one to look at, let us say. But Venom is like, I don't know, he's a little bit more tough, shall we say. Like, I mean, he's terrifying, scary, yeah. So it depends. It depends.
Those teeth.
Kraven, you know, he's one of those boys that I can change him. Venom, not so much.
No, you can't change Venom.
No, Venom is Venom.
Venom is Venom. Then, right after Spider-Man 2, I started looking at some PlayStation deals that were going on, and one particular game I wanted to play for poops and giggles was available. I thought it was only on PC, but it turns out there is a console version now. Postal 4 No Regrets. Which is just a pure comedy open world game that doesn't take itself seriously. You can unalive anyone that you want to in the game. You can alleviate yourself onto anything that you want to.
Yes.
There's some stuff with animals that I'm not going to mention on here. It's the one thing that made me upset with the game. You could probably guess what that is.
Yeah.
It plays horrible.
Yeah.
It repeats all the same stuff over and over again, like the radio stuff. Like there's only like 15 minutes of content in the whole thing. It does have the voice of John St. John, better known as Duke Nukem in there, so that's more the reason to play it. But it was $20.
Yeah.
And I am getting at least $20 worth of enjoyment out of it. But a different game came along that made me put Postal 4 to the side.
Yes.
Although maybe I'll play it again because we have some stuff to catch on later.
Yeah.
But a game I've been waiting years upon years for has finally come out. Alan Wake 2 from the Finnish video game production company company Remedy. This is an absolute mind F of a game. I could try to explain it to you, but it'll go over a lot of people's heads if I really get into the deep details about it. But essentially, a writer is trying to get inspiration in the first game, and a lot of horror things start happening as he's writing it down, and other things start happening around him in nightmarish ways.
Yeah.
In number 2, he comes back after disappearing for 13 years, and there's a lot of things that trying to understand how it all came together.
Yeah.
And it goes into so many different directions, from actually scary to rocky horror. And I mean that in the best way possible, because for a good half hour of the game, it kind of turns into a Rocky Horror style musical with Poets of the Fall doing the soundtrack.
Yes.
At the end of that whole part, everyone does a choreographed dance. And it's just one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen in this kind of game. It's just baffling what you see, but I love it so much.
Yeah.
I was worried if Poets of the Fall was going to be in this game or not, and they're like an essential part of the game now, which I love. I'm not done with it yet, but I can't wait to finish it.
Yeah.
You got to see barely any of it.
Yeah, barely any.
But what did you think from what you saw?
From what I saw, I was very intrigued by it, but I definitely need to sit down and watch it while you play.
And speaking of intriguing, let's get into those microtransactions with the dating simulators.
Woo! So Love is Blind continues to be terrible. So, again, if you're not familiar with the show, it's a show where you kind of go in these pods and talk to somebody without seeing them, and if you get engaged to them without seeing them, you then go off to a secluded vacation for a few days to get to know them, and then you live in an apartment that's set up for you and them for a couple of weeks, and then you go to the wedding, and you either say you do or you don't, and that's the show. And then
that's the show.
And then there's reunions and stuff like that, of course. But last time when we left you, we went through the pods, which was okay. That part of the show was pretty decent. And then they rushed you through like a day at your like vacation, and then you come back to your apartment, and you're only there for like a day before they rush you to the altar, because for whatever reason they decided that you don't actually need to play, these seconds of the game that are typically part of the show. And then you go to the wedding and you get married, and now all of a sudden in my mind I'm like, well, that's the end of the show. What are they gonna do now? Well, now they're having some big voting thing where you and your partner might be made the next hosts of the game, because the current hosts are expecting a child now all of a sudden. It makes no sense. None of it makes any sense. I don't know who the writers are trying to like fool with this mess. Like, have they even watched the show? It is terrible. And then Love Island is pretty good still. So we had came back from Casa Amor, and in this episode though, our partner's ex, who they were with when they were at the main like villa to begin with, they're like trying to get them back all of a sudden, even though they really weren't working out. And you just gotta hold your ground with them and be like, look, get away from my man. So yeah, that's my games. One piece of gaming news that we heard though is that there is rumors that they are going to be coming out with a video game based on the horror movie Barbarian.
Yes, one of my favorite horror movies from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think the movie did a better version of what the movie Men was trying to do.
Yeah.
Where, I don't know, I think something in Men kind of just like lost in translation, at least at the end of the movie. It did that for me.
Yeah.
Like everything leading up to it was fantastic with what they were trying to do, but the ending did not land.
Yeah.
Whereas Barbarian, it worked from beginning to end.
Yeah.
But the question is, how do you turn this into a video game?
I don't know. I feel like I need to rewatch it again just to try to go into it with this lens of like, how could it be into a game?
I mean, are you just running from the booby grandma thing in the basements? Is that the whole game?
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, I'm very intrigued and I want to know what it's about. I'm just utterly confused on what they're trying to do.
Me too.
One quick little pause for the cause, because I need your reaction to a part of Alan Wake 2 that is on YouTube.
Okay.
So yes, I had to have the Metal Faerie watch the ending of the gigantic dance number that happens in Alan Wake 2, featuring the most underrated Finnish band of current times, Poets of the Fall. Well, underrated, at least in America. Everywhere else, they seem to get the recognition they deserve, but not in America.
Yeah.
Out of pretty much no context other than me trying to explain what was going on. What did you think of that ending?
It gave me a little bit of Repo the Genetic Opera vibes, but like in current times in a way. I guess I don't know if it's set in current times. It looks like it's current times.
Yeah, it's current times.
Okay. It's intriguing. It's intriguing. I mean, I think you'd have to be there.
Well, if you ever decide to play it, and there is a story mode version where it's on the easiest level and everything. So normal and hard are hard.
Yeah.
Both of them are hard. But story mode, like, there's no like major like things that could happen to really affect you visually.
Yeah.
So I think you could enjoy it, and then you could experience the whole thing by itself.
Yes.
And it's a catchy number that they play.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to be showing you some new music in a bit, or at least talking about it from my top 10 albums of October 2023. But before we get there, you have some new music to talk about that I am not familiar with yet.
I do. Up first, the band Manacora. They are a Danish prog power band, if you're not familiar with them, but they have a new song out, Beast of the Fall. I love it. I mean, it's got the classic power metal elements, but it's darker, heavier. It's got some harsh vocals to it as well, but then it still has that like clean element to it. It's just such a good mix of both sides, I feel like.
Yeah, and they must be giant Lion Witch and the Wardrobe fans as well too, with Manticora going on.
Maybe.
But yeah, I am well versed in Manticora, and I'm glad to see that they have a new album scheduled for early 2024. No official release date yet, but if this is what they're doing, I think it's gonna be a pretty well-regarded album next year.
Agreed. Up next, Luca Turilli of Rhapsody of Fire fame has a single out from his upcoming piano album, actually. It's called Murmurs du Printemps. I'm probably demolishing the pronunciation of that.
How dare you not know Italian?
I know, right? I did take a year of Italian, so but that was a long time ago. But it's beautiful. I mean, he is an amazing piano player, and this is just it goes to show how amazing he is on the keys. So
yeah, I'm really floored by his playing. I mean, being able to hear all the flourishes that he does on the keys and stuff, it's really cool. I'm hoping there's some good diversity in there. I hope it's not just an album of flourishes that's going on, you know, just being able to show everything that you can do on two hands.
Yeah.
But he has enough melodic moments in there. I think it would be very intriguing for the power metal fan or the classical piano fan.
Agreed. And then up next, Dirtian, power metal band out of Italy, have their new album out now, New Era Part 4.
There seems to be a lot of Italian power metal going on lately.
There is.
And let's be honest, you called it PT4 before. Not knowing that stood for part 4.
I knew it stood for part, but I was like reading it as I was saying it, so it came out PT. I know what PT stands for.
It's like when Bojack starts reading the directions in his script instead of just the words.
Exactly. But no, it's amazing. I love it. So check it out. And then
I thoroughly enjoyed that as well. The video that we saw, it was Justin Hawkins. I didn't realize that he sold off his signature suit.
Hey now, it's a look. And finally, Mago Diaz, who is a power metal / folk metal, kind of a little bit of elements from all over the place, out of Spain. They have a new single out, El Sombrero Loco. I love them. They're such a fun power metal band.
I never hear you talk about them.
I've had them on my top list before, and then
have
years.
You?
Yeah.
I completely forgot about them then.
Yeah. They're just a fun band. They're very whimsical. If you watch the video for their last single, like it'll give you a perfect display of that. But yeah, they're just a fun band to listen to.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I heard. I guess I just completely forgot about them. Which oh my god, I forgot about a band.
What? It's not like you deal with a ton of bands or anything.
But no, that's some new stuff to be checking out. Some of that's out now. Some of that will be coming out in 2024.
Exactly.
So thank you for bringing those to my attention.
Of course.
And now it's time for me to talk about my top 10 albums of October 2023. Now, this is going to be very different for a lot of different reasons. First of all, this is actually premiering before the written and video version comes out.
Yes.
As I was at band camp, so I had no real way to promote the video or be able to show off the written version, so those will be coming out on Tuesday,
yes.
I've decided, as I might have an interview tomorrow as I'm recording this, and then I have some other endeavors I have to deal with on Monday. So I'm just thinking Tuesday would probably work out better.
Yeah.
This is also the final top 10 albums of the month list that I'm doing.
Yeah.
As next year, I've decided to stop doing them. But don't you fret. I've decided to make things infinitely harder on myself.
Yes.
By doing this weekly.
Woo!
Yeah, starting the first week of January and going year-round, probably. Well, maybe I'll still keep the November, December stuff separate because I'll be doing the top 100 going on. But weekly, I will be doing the best albums that come out in that week. Probably have the video coming out on Friday of every week. And I will probably be starting it off with albums that I missed in that current week. So, like, for the first episode, I might talk about some December albums that I didn't talk about, for example.
Yeah.
And then I'll be talking about the new albums that come out that particular week. The videos will be much, much shorter than they currently are, like 15 minutes and stuff. They'll probably be closer to like 5-10. Just faster content, more of it, just shorter.
Yeah.
Just be able to talk about stuff instead of just 10 at a time. I think it'll be a good time to do that. And so this one's a bit special.
Yes.
So let's start things off. Again, the way that I do this always is in alphabetical order to show no favoritism until the top 100 comes out.
Yes.
And the first one starting it off is Blood Red Hourglass with their biggest departure in sound to date with the album How's the Heart. They have always been a very melodeath doom metal band, but on this album they started incorporating some more stuff that is a lot more commercial, some more EDM electronic moments that are going on, more clean vocals than ever before. It's a departure for the sound, but I think it's in the right direction. What about you?
Yeah, I was not familiar with them before, at least not that I remember. But I really like this song that you played for me, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to checking out more of them.
Yeah, I think this is the album to absolutely start with, and then go backwards from there and see if it's your bag at all.
Yeah.
Number 2, we already talked about in some regard. It is Carnifex with Necromantium, symphonic deathcore, and since we've already covered that earlier in the show, I can continue on to Head with Wings and Without Intervention. Of course, anyone who knows me knows my podcast Something Gives. I took the title for the show based off a song from their debut album. And it's taken several years for them to be able to put out a new album, but they finally have a new album out, which has been mixed, mastered, produced, and orchestrated by the busiest man in rock and metal, Vikram Shankar. This is a lot more of kind of like the alternative rock, progressive rock sound. The first album was a little bit darker musically, and this album it's a little bit darker lyrically, and it's a lot more expansive this time around.
Yeah.
I showed you their lone single, which is probably the most commercial sounding one, and I could tell it was not your bag.
Yeah, no.
Even with Vikram on there.
I know, right? And I enjoy his work, but yeah, it's not my thing.
And speaking of things that are not your bag, baby, the brand new solo album from Lalu with The Fish Who Wanted to Be King.
Yes.
That classic, yes, Gentle Giant, Vandegraaff Generator, 60s to 80s progressive rock sound for the modern day. Featuring Damian Wilson on vocals, and of course Vivian Lalu on keyboards. This is so not your thing.
No. I would sooner go to a country concert than this.
Wow. Even with the crowds at a country concert, you'd
I
rather
can make
do
fun
that.
of them at least.
Well, I can't make fun of prog heads at a prog concert.
I mean, I do that anyways, but
That's what I've noticed about you. You like prog that doesn't sound like prog. Like, if you just listen to it, it just sounds like a good song to you. You can't tell it's a progressive song. Like Fate's Warning, like Symphony X.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that pretty much describes you to a T. I don't know how you're still with me. And then next up, we have the guitars for Fate's Warning and also of Ray Alder's solo work, Michael Abdow, with his latest solo album, Seance in Black. Another fantastic interview that I did with him. It was fantastic to be able to get his mindset into songwriting and how he's able to do such different stuff with his solo work, with Fate's Warning and Ray Alder. This is probably going to be the lone instrumental album this year that makes the top 100, and I look at the past decade and how much that's changed because I used to have so much post-rock and instrumental music on there. Now it just might be one album.
Yeah.
But you, what did you think of this album?
So for the most part, I'm not really an instrumental person unless it's like classical music. It's okay, but it's probably not something I'm going to venture back to much. So
You liked it more before.
yeah, and maybe if I took more time with it, but yeah,
Maybe it's just a mood thing.
yeah.
In one of the most uplifting albums of the year, we have Trinity, the third solo album from Ronnie Atkins. An album that brings tears of joy to me.
Yeah.
Particularly the song If You Can Dream It, You Can Do It. He is 100% living proof of that notion.
Absolutely.
Considering that he's on his second round of dealing with lung cancer, stage 4 now, but has no momentum loss.
No.
He is going as strong as he ever has, putting out as much music as he possibly can, and fighting until the bitter end. What do you think of the new solo album?
I really like it. I love Ronnie's voice. He's amazing with everything that he does. And this album is just so inspirational. Like, you can't help but take some kind of deeper meaning from it and feel motivated, make some kind of change.
And aren't those the best?
They are. They are.
They really are. Up next is kind of a emotional support album for me, because I relate to so much of this album. I mean, some of it I'll never be able to relate to because I'm not of that particular gender, but the other moments of mental health and struggling in life is something I can really relate to. It is the brand new album from Svalbard, their first album on a major label with Nuclear Blast, and that album is, of course, The Weight of the Mask, which is a metaphor for the mask of smiling when you're in front of people when you have depression behind the mask, which is, I think, something every single person can deal with at some point. Last week I had them in the musical Roulette section, and you wanted to hear a song with more clean vocals, and I picked out a song for you to check out that has more clean vocals. So what do you think?
Yeah, so again from last week, like the lyrics are great. I think they're very inspirational and very deep, and that's wonderful. Musically, I kind of enjoy it. Vocally, I do appreciate that the mix of the clean and harsh more than just the harsh on its own. I feel like this is a band that could grow on me. It's not one that's like off the bat I love, but I feel like it's one that could grow on me.
Give it time.
Yes.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Continuing on, and because you covered a lot of Italian power metal musicians.
Yes.
I figured I'd bring one of my own for the top 10 of October with the brand new album from Temperance, Hermitage, Daruma's Eyes Part 2. Kind of pulling a Dream Theater here, where Daruma's Eyes is a lone song, and then they decided to make a whole concept album behind that song, just like Dream Theater did with Metropolis, and then Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from Memory. Of course, this features a new vocalist, Kristen Starkey, on vocals, and I thoroughly enjoy this album. It's just a really good mix of the right amount of prog, but so focused on the power metal side, and proving that not all bands from Italiano are going to sound like Rhapsody, which I truly appreciate.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
I really like this, and I think she has such a strong, amazing voice, so it's really nice hearing that, like, in combination with the male vocals as well, and yeah, I really, really like this.
She has such an impeccable range. Like, she can hit any note that she needs to.
Absolutely.
And, you know, whether she does something lower, whether she does something falsetto, she can do it all, and it's just fantastic here. And I'm glad that she has a long-running band to be a part of now.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up, this should go as absolutely no surprise to anybody, considering my love of satanic doo-wop. You know, all the classic bands like Twin Temple.
And Twin Temple.
And don't forget, Twin Temple. With their sophomore album, God is Dead. Yeah, we already talked about Twin Temple a bit on here, but what do you think of the album as a whole?
I love it. I mean, it's that total 50s sound. But the lyrics just catch you off guard, like, even if you're familiar with them. It's just hilarious, and I love, like, the old 50s sound, so yeah, it's right up my alley.
Same here. I love it, and I hope we get to see them at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And I've said it once, and I'll say it again. For a real satanic doo-wop, ice cream box social, Twin Temple and Dog Fashion Disco need to go on tour together.
Yeah.
I think that would just be a perfect combination.
Absolutely.
Even if they are drastically different styles. Then again, Twin Temple is open for Behemoth and other bands, so I don't think it would be that different.
Nah.
And it would be a small enough venue where we would feel comfortable about going.
Maybe.
And finally, we have the North American folk metal band, as I like to refer to the genre. Bands like Nekoshwen and Panopticon. The band Wayfarer, featuring members of Blood Incantation and other local Colorado bands with their brand new album, American Gothic. This is their first album in a few years, and I almost think they might be the best of this style. Like, They really combined the black and the death metal parts perfectly. The mixture of like the Americana and Western feels is just done in the right moments. Like it's never overbearing. There's nothing overbearing in the different sounds that are going on. I feel like it's a perfect mesh of everything. But this is your first time hearing them. What did you think?
Yeah, I actually really like the song that you played
What?
for me. I know. I mean, I'd have to listen to other songs to know if, like, overall they're my thing, but, like, I enjoyed the song.
That makes me actually very happy to hear that.
Aw, we're ending on a good note.
Yes. And it's funny, their album is called American Gothic. Not just the classic painting of the elderly grandma and grandpa, the one with the pitchfork in front of the house. It is also the band that broke up my old band, Shattered. When our guitarist left us to play bass in a local Minnesota band, American Gothic,
Nice.
which is no longer around, so he made the right choice. So, just ending on that little bit of history, that ends the top 10 albums of October 2023. I'm sad this is actually the last one, but that also means that in 2024, we're just going to be talking about all the new albums that I'm checking out every single week for the show. And again, I'll be doing that every Friday on YouTube, talking about every single album and all that stuff. I'll be sure to tag everything to make things appropriate.
Yeah.
But we'll also talk about it on the show here. And any albums that I dig, I'll play some of it for you and get your impressions on there. But what about you listening? Is there anything that you enjoy off of my top 10? Is there anything off of the Metal Fairies, a few songs that I hadn't heard yet that you enjoyed? Is there anything that I'm massively leaving out? Please let us know in the comments. And I think with that, I think that's a great note to end on.
And of course, you hit a big milestone this year, or this week. My apologies, not this year. This year too, but...
Oh, well, I guess I'll straighten my tie here. I guess I'll bring it up. After turning the YouTube page for my old band Shattered into that drummer guy, and then finally Heavy Debriefings, hopefully it's final form,
Yes.
and get this one to keep going forever and ever, I've finally hit 1,000 subscribers.
Woo!
I did it my way, like Frank Sinatra and Fred Durst has said before. It's my way on the highway. Yes, I don't do clickbait headlines. I don't like talking about dirty laundry. I don't like doing things to just ruffle feathers to get likes and comments and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I promote the music I enjoy.
Yes.
And it's taken me a long time to get there. Well over 900 interviews. I think if tomorrow happens, it'll be 910.
Ooh.
So, 90 interviews away from 1,000.
Closer.
And that's going to be a fun one for me as well when we hit that milestone, hopefully next year. But it's taken a good damn long time to get to 1,000 subscribers because I stick to my guns. I never want to put out content that I don't have my 100% endorsement behind.
Yeah.
And if I do anything other than that, I'll feel like I'm a fake and a failure in my own eyes.
Yeah.
And I just want to appreciate every single one of you that's checking this out on YouTube or on the podcast, and you just check out the other stuff on YouTube. Either way, just thank you so much for helping present everything that I've done over the past 12 years. Almost 2 full years of Heavy Debriefings coming up in January, which is going to be pretty cool. And I just really appreciate everyone giving me the support over the years. I mean, it's not just 1,000 subscribers, it's well over 1,000 now, which is fantastic to see. Almost the population of the hometown that I grew up in.
Oh.
Which is 1,051. We're getting ever closer. So that's the next goal, is to get 1,052, just to make it one more than the hometown I grew up in. So
Exactly.
if you can help that happen, that'd be great.
Yes.
And above all, when it comes to all this, if you're checking out this show, if you're checking out any of the videos that I put up on YouTube, if you could watch the whole thing, that would be incredibly helpful for me to be able to get a natural reach again, because I have to hit 4,000 watch hours in a year. And I know a lot of people click off after a while when they realize I'm not going to be doing any clickbait or dirt or anything like that.
Right.
But if you enjoy what I do, if you could just watch the whole thing, or if you want to support me in a different way, like play the video, just hit mute and just walk away and do whatever you need to do, anything like that, it'd be truly, truly appreciated.
Yeah.
And so now with that, we say goodbye to the show. show this week, episode 16. We say goodbye to the Halloween season, even though there's 2 days left as of the day of recording this. Next week will be the big birthday show for the Metal Faerie, where I'm going to be messing with her in my diabolical project that, again, you already know about, but you don't know what's involved in it.
Yeah, I don't know what all is.
Yeah, I've been secretly working on that, and I can't wait to put that in full display. But until then, for the Metal Faerie, this is Josh Runquist for the Heavy Debriefings podcast, saying see ya.
And happy All Hallows Eve and Halloween.
Scary stuff, scary stuff.
Woo.